right, everybody, welcome back. We are doing another deep dive today, and well, let's just get right into it.
Yeah, let's go.
This one is going to be interesting.
Looking forward to it.
It's Elizabeth Spiers.
Yeah.
So founder of Gawker.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And so we've got like articles and biographical info. We're really trying to figure out, was she a visionary? Did she, revolutionize media, or was she just like a ruthless gossip monger?
I mean, it's interesting, right? Because, like, when you look at her career, she starts with this, salacious, celebrity-obsessed Gawker, and then she moves into political strategy. I mean, that's a pretty big shift.
Yeah.
So is this like a genuine evolution of her interests, or was she always kind of playing the long game here?
Yeah, and was that like a stepping stone?
Yeah.
Or did she just get like bored with gossip and decide to go into something more serious?
Right.
Okay, so let's give everybody the basics here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Elizabeth Spiers, born December 11th, 1976, in Wetumpka, Alabama.
Okay.
Studied public policy at Duke. Worked in finance before moving to New York City. And then, obviously, that's when she founded Gawker in 2002. Sold it in 2016.
Yeah.
Went on to be editor-in-chief of the New York Observer, founded Breaking Media, and also like a political strategy company called The Insurrection.
Wow, that is like a really diverse career trajectory. And it really does kind of raise that question, right? Like, did her priorities change over time, or was this all part of some master plan?
Yeah, I mean, that's not the typical path.
No, not at all.
And even like her social media presence.
Oh, yeah.
It's like she's got 65.3K followers on Twitter, 78.6K on Facebook, and then 1.8K on Instagram. And on Instagram, she follows people like Paul Bettany, Soledad O'Brien, Eddie Vedder. That's
so interesting. It's like this weird mix of highbrow and lowbrow, which, if you think about it, it kind of mirrors Gawker's own content strategy, right?
Yeah.
You've got like the celebrity gossip, but then you also have like some pretty insightful commentary on media and culture.
Yeah, and a lot of people, will say that Gawker launched the careers of many well-known journalists.
Oh, absolutely. Some big names in media got their start there.
But they were also known as like, the most expensive comment in internet history.
Oh, yeah, because of all the legal battles.
Because of the legal battles.
Yeah.
So, like, were they fearless journalists, pushing the boundaries? Or
were they just completely irresponsible?
Just irresponsible and sensationalist.
Right. Like, where's the line? What you think?
Yeah, is it fearless journalism or just straight up sensationalism for the sake of clicks?
Right, and for the sake of taking people down.
And I think, you really have to look at some of the controversies.
Oh, yeah, let's get into that.
So there's the Hulk Hogan sex take.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
Which led to a lawsuit.
Funded by Peter Thiel, right.
Funded by Peter Thiel.
That ultimately led to Gawker's bankruptcy.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
And they outed Peter Thiel as gay in 2007.
Right.
Which some people
saw as like a really, kind of a vindictive move.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're going to sue us, well, we're going to out you.
Yeah. And then there's a story about a gay porn star's alleged text correspondence with a married executive from Condé Nast.
Oh, wow.
Which then obviously led to the executive being fired.
Yeah, I mean...
And then they even had something called Gawker Stalker.
What was that?
It was literally displaying celebrities' locations on a map.
Oh, my God.
So talk about like a complete disregard for privacy.
I mean, was that even legal? I don't even know.
I don't know.
I mean, talk about pushing the boundaries.
So, like, how do you unpack all of that?
Oh,
right?
that's tough.
Like, on the one hand, you could argue they were, like, holding powerful people accountable.
Yeah, speaking truth to power.
But then on the other hand, it's like, are you just ruining people's lives for sport?
Right. Like, where's the line?
So where does that leave us on the grifter versus gifted spectrum?
I mean, it's tricky because I feel like under Spiers, Gawker blurred the lines between... news and gossip.
Totally.
And sometimes it felt like straight up harassment.
Yeah, it was definitely...
They definitely pushed the boundaries. And for a lot of people, they went way too far.
Way too far. But they also had a huge impact. So,
yeah.
I mean, it was sold to Univision in 2016 after the Hogan lawsuit.
Right.
Univision shut down Gawker.com.
Yeah.
But then just a couple years ago in 2023...
What?
Bustle Digital Group...
Yeah.
Purchased Gawker.com and its entire archive.
Wow. So they're bringing it back.
So they brought it back.
That's wild. So the site that basically got taken down for like, privacy violations, now its entire archive is back online.
Is back.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic.
It's ironic. It's like a digital ghost that refuses to die.
It really is.
So it makes you think about what is going to be Gawker's legacy.
Yeah.
What will people remember?
Yeah, like, will it be the salacious headlines, the legal battles, or something else entirely?
Yeah, and then what about Spiers' role in all of this? Because she hasn't been involved with Gawker for years.
Right.
But it's like her creation.
It's hard to separate her from it at this
Yeah.
point. It's like she created this monster that took on a life of its own.
Totally. Okay, so speaking of legacy,
Yeah.
did you know that Kurt Anderson, the co-founder of Spy magazine,
Oh, wow.
you know that satirical publication known for, like, its sharp wit and takedowns of media and culture, he actually cited Spiers as an influence?
That's an interesting connection. I mean, it kind of makes you wonder if Spiers saw Gawker as, like, carrying on Spy's legacy, but in the digital age, right?
Right.
It's that same kind of, like, holding a mirror up to society, exposing its flaws, and maybe even, like, having a little fun while doing it.
Yeah, and so this is where things get really interesting.
Because, I mean, think about it. Spiers herself didn't come from this background that just screamed future media disruptor.
Right.
I mean, she was a Wall Street analyst.
Yeah, she was like dealing with cold, hard numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And she graduates from Duke with a degree in public policy.
Yeah.
It's not like she comes from a family of journalists or media moguls.
Right. Like she's not a Vanderbilt or a Murdoch or something like that.
That's exactly. So it's not your typical path to media notoriety.
No, and get this, she even wrote a novel back in 2007.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was it called?
And They All Die in the End, published by Riverhead.
Huh, interesting.
So was Gawker just like another creative outlet?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, was it just like writing a novel for her?
Mm.
Or was it a calculated move to make a name for herself in a different field?
Right, because I mean, it's a totally different field.
Totally. And it really makes you think about, like, what was driving her? Was it just fame or fortune, or was there something more?
Yeah, was she actually trying to, like, challenge the status quo?
Right.
Which she definitely did.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Gawker was unlike anything else at the time. It was raw, unfiltered, totally unafraid to offend.
Yeah.
And Spiers was the driving force behind it all.
Yeah.
It's like she had this innate sense of what would get people talking, what would push their buttons.
Yeah, what would get under people's skin.
Exactly. And I think that gets us back to that question of grifter versus gifted.
Right.
Was she manipulating the public's appetite for gossip? Or was she simply reflecting the culture we live in?
Yeah, I mean, were we all just obsessed with celebrity and scandal back then?
Right. Like, was she creating the demand or just feeding it?
Yeah, because you have to remember, back when Backer was at his peak, it was like, you love to hate read it.
Oh, yeah. It was like a guilty pleasure.
Total guilty pleasure.
Silly.
But, I mean, looking back, it's clear that Gawker was more than just like a gossip rag.
Oh, for sure.
Like, it shaped how we consume news today.
Absolutely.
I mean, it made news faster.
Yeah.
It made it more informal and definitely more opinionated.
Yeah, and look at the comment sections on any news website today. You can totally see Gawker's influence.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's like they tore down the wall between the reader and the writer.
Yeah.
Everything became more conversational, more immediate.
Yeah.
And whether you liked their style or not, you can't deny that they were pioneers in that sense.
Right, and they were one of the first.
Absolutely.
But here's another twist.
Okay.
So in 2007, Spiers actually left Dead Horse Media,
Which was?
the parent company of Gawker.
Oh, okay.
And it was because of disagreements about new properties they were launching.
So she walked away from it.
She walked away.
Huh, that's interesting. It kind of shows that she's not just in it for the fame or the money.
Right.
Like, there's a principled side to her, a commitment to her own ideas.
Yeah.
But it also makes you wonder, like, what were those principles exactly?
Yeah. What was she trying to do?
Were they based on journalistic integrity, or was it more about, like, maintaining control?
Yeah. I mean, who knows what was going through her head?
Right. But one thing's for sure, Elizabeth Spiers has left an undeniable mark on the media world.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she's been called a pioneer of online media.
Yeah.
She understood the power of the internet. How to reach a massive audience and how to break news in ways that traditional outlets couldn't even dream of.
Yeah. And you can't talk about the rise of digital media without talking about Gawker.
Right.
I mean, for all its flaws, it played a huge role in shaping the landscape we see today.
Right.
They helped pave the way for this more informal, irreverent, and often opinionated style of journalism that's now ubiquitous online.
Yeah, and it goes beyond just the writing style.
Oh, yeah. What do you mean?
Like, Gawker also embraced the potential of the internet to, like, build communities.
Oh, yeah, to get people talking.
To get people talking, to give a voice to those who might not have had one in the traditional media landscape.
Yeah, they definitely democratized media in a way.
Right, for better or for worse.
For better or for worse.
It's like they gave everyone a platform to share their opinions, to engage in the conversation.
To be a part of the story.
Right, to be a part of the story.
Yeah.
So where does all this leave us? Elizabeth Spiers, grifter or gifted? I feel like it's a question that's still up for debate.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about figures like Spiers. They defy easy categorization.
Totally.
They're complex, they're contradictory, and they're always pushing boundary.
Yeah, and that's what makes them so fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
they force us to confront our own assumptions about success, about ambition, about the role of media in our society.
And it's like thinking about the timing of it all.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you mean?
Well, Gawker really blew up during that, like, early Wild West days of the internet.
Oh, yeah.
When, like, nobody really knew the rules yet.
It was a digital gold rush.
Yeah, and Spiers was, like, one of the first to stake her claim.
Right. She saw the potential of this new medium before most people even knew what a blog was.
Right.
So in that sense, you could definitely call her a visionary.
Yeah, but like we've been saying, visionaries can be reckless, too.
That's true.
And Gawker definitely crossed some lines.
Oh, yeah?
And it's like, with great power comes great responsibility or something like that.
Right.
Did they abuse that power just to get clicks and attention?
I mean, that's the big question, right? And I don't
Yeah.
think there's an easy answer.
Right.
But it's safe to say that Gawker often chose, like, sensationalism over sensitivity. They loved gossip and scandal, and they definitely were not afraid of personal attacks.
No, they were not.
Which ultimately led to their downfall.
Yeah, the Hulk Hogan lawsuit. That was a huge deal.
Bankrolled by Peter Thiel,
Yeah.
that sent shockwaves through the media world.
For sure.
I think it was a wake-up call for a lot of outlets that you can't just push things too far.
Right, there are consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was the cautionary tale.
Totally. A reminder that freedom of the press doesn't mean freedom from consequences.
Right.
But even in its demise, Gawker left a lasting impact.
Oh, absolutely.
It changed how we consume news, blurred the lines between journalism and entertainment,
Right.
and it forced us to confront these really tough questions about privacy ethics and the power of the internet.
Yeah. Okay, so after all this back and forth,
Yeah.
where do we land? Grifter or gifted?
I don't think it's that simple.
Right.
I think she was brilliant,
Yeah.
super ambitious. She really saw the potential of the internet before many others. But she was also willing to push those boundaries, even if it meant hurting others.
Right.
It's complicated. And it's a legacy that we'll probably continue debating for years to come.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And, these are the kinds of conversations we need to have. We
Mhm.
need to be grappling with these ethical dilemmas and trying to find a way forward
Yeah.
that balances freedom of expression with responsibility.
Right. And accountability.
Exactly.
Well said. Well, on that note, dear listeners,
Yes.
we'll leave it up to you to decide.
Yes. Form your own conclusions.
Is Elizabeth Spiers a grifter, a visionary, or somewhere in between?
I think it's up to each individual to decide.
Keep exploring this story and let us know what you think.
Yeah, we want to hear from you.
Thanks for joining us on another deep dive.